Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
All right, we are back. We appreciate all of you joining us here on the HTV viewing area. I'm Martin Falls, and once again, the First Lieutenant with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Department, Blake Tabor, is with us today. And good to see you, Lieutenant. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Martin?
Pretty good. I know you got some more information for us, so I will give you the floor.
I do. So again, another pretty difficult case to report, unfortunately. This one, again, is another investigation that's being handled by our SVU division. It's in relation to a Billy Ray McClin. He's a 54-year-old male from Chauvin. You see him photographed here, who was, fortunately for us and unfortunately for the victims, arrested for molestation of a juvenile under the age of 13, 2 counts, and also first-degree rape. So during the month of June 30th of this year, our patrol division was called to an address in Chauvin, the 4900 block of Bayou Side Drive, where some family members were present with a child victim who was making some pretty serious allegations against Mr. McClin, even to the tune of the fact that she had been sexually abused by him for over 3 years by that point. Wow. So again, anytime we get these types of cases, we take them extremely seriously, as we've always done. And our SVU came in and began investigating that pretty actively. Lo and behold, as we began investigating, 2 additional victims surfaced who were under the age of 11, unfortunately, to report. So again, SVU detectives did their due diligence. Ultimately, we linked up with the Children's Advocacy Center here in Houma, who does a lot of our forensic interviews when it comes to these cases. And so we always take initial statements from the victims, which is what we did in this case. And then we compound that by going to the Children's Advocacy Center and having a secondary interview done. And all 3 of these victims provided the same excerpt and the same explicit details that they gave to investigators at that time during that forensic interview. So ultimately, Mr. McClin was arrested. He was brought in for questioning. Once he got to our sheriff's office, we realized that he was suffering from a medical issue that he needed to be transferred to a local hospital, which he did do. And then, of course, the next day he was released, and we immediately picked him up and he was arrested. So on July 2nd, when he was arrested, initially it was for 1 count of molestation of a juvenile under the age of 13 and 1 count of first-degree rape. He was incarcerated at that time. We've seen some comments on our Facebook post about, he should have never been released. He was not released from incarceration by that point. So from the initial time of us arresting him, he remained in jail. And then, of course, Friday, we put an additional charge of molestation of another juvenile under the age of 13 on him. He is currently still incarcerated at our jail on a $3,001,000 bond by local judges.
That might be the highest I've seen.
It could very well be for me as well.
That's incredible. 3 million. Hey, but good for the judges.
Absolutely. Well deserved.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because we have a little time to talk about it. But we've seen these cases. You've talked about these cases before, and over the 40 years of HTV, I've seen it quite a bit. What can we tell people to look for in these cases? Because obviously there was a pattern here, and I know sometimes the poor victims, they're told if you go forward, they'll be killed or something bad will happen to them or whatever. But what can outsiders look for?
Well, I think at this point, it's about a change in behavior. And, without delving too deep into this case, what surfaced the complaint from the victim in this particular case is she began to post some things on social media that her family did not find to be consistent with her normal personality. So again, anytime we see those things, that is a direct reflection of something that could be happening to them. Anything out of the ordinary is always something to look at. we talk a lot about social media and all the bad components of that and what it leads to. But in this case, social media was a good thing because it ultimately surfaced this unfortunate investigation.
Yeah, I guess you could also look, you talk about behavior, but maybe they're starting to drink a lot, or maybe they're starting to do serious drugs, or maybe they just used to be talkative, now they're quiet. Little things could be a clue.
Absolutely, and we always talk about it being the small things, right? Are they losing touch with the friends that they've never really lost touch with? Are they staying in their room for extended periods of time, wanting to be alone and not wanting to be with family or even friends? Are they not playing video games like they once were? Are they not riding their bike like they used to? And some of those things, it's not a catch-22. You know, sometimes they just don't feel like riding the bike, obviously. But we have to look into why children behave in the way they do, because they won't always come to us, just like what you mentioned.
Right. Does the abuser, the one that's doing the abuser, in this case, the gentleman, I say gentleman, but the one who perpetrated the crimes, do they always deny, or do they come clean sometimes?
Some do, and some, will admit to their sickness. In this particular instance, Mr. McClendon did not do that, unfortunately. And again, during the course of our investigation, we discovered that he had also done some time in Livingston Parish for some very similar charges. So, what happened there to allow him to be out? Again, we're not pointing the finger, because lots of things happen. People fall through the cracks, if you will. But, this is something that we have to take very seriously. And these offenders have to understand that no victim is a good victim, but, our children are off limits. And that's the fact of the matter.
I'll say it again, over a $3 million bond.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to the judge that did that. And we've been waiting to see one of those for a long time.
We sure have.
All right. Thank you first, Lieutenant. I appreciate you coming by. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.